Hello, hello. Welcome to the Fishing for a Reason podcast. Excited to be back here with you guys this week. And we're going to talk about crabbing. You're probably wondering, why, Jamie? Why are we talking about crabbing? We are pretty much closed for crabbing. Yes, and not completely. And also, I want to give you a few things you need to be thinking about as the summer crabbing season wraps up, and some really fun underwater footage that we captured this year that you may find really interesting when you go crabbing next time. So that's what we're going to dive into today. It's going to be a fun, short and sweet podcast just about some of the cool things we discovered this year. So I got really passionate about, all right, we're making all this content. Content creation is a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. There's some challenges associated with it. But wouldn't it be cool if we could see underwater? And I know people do this all the time with diving, but I have never personally taken the time to figure out how to capture underwater footage. So we tried it for the very first time, got a little bit of advice from a friend and did some research and sent a camera underwater and hoped for the best. And what came out of that footage was really freaking cool. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. We're going to talk about Dungeness crab and see what actually happens underwater when you drop your pots, how fast those things actually get into your pot, what kind of bait we were using, and then also the filming techniques. So if you are curious about what's going on inside of your pots, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes of what you can use to actually find out by literally watching it. So if you're new to our channel, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And several of you have actually emailed me in some questions or ideas, and keep those coming. So email us at support@anglersunlimited.co. If I'm not the one checking that email, the team is. And we love all of the different questions and suggestions. It gives us great ideas for what to create and what you guys are interested in learning more about for future shows. One other piece of housekeeping: we're going to keep our Anglers Unlimited Inner Circle open through the end of September, and then doors will be closed. So make sure, if that is something you want to check out and jump in on, email us the subject line catch more fish at support@anglersunlimited.co. We will hit a reply to you and send you a link where you can see a few different details about what's inside of the community and hop in if you think it's something that you want to check out. One benefit that we always give people that are brand new members is if you join, you also get a ticket to one of our events. So every single year, we're going to run different fishing classes. We do a salmon school, we do a halibut school. We're probably going to be adding a lingcod school next year. We've had a lot of people request, hey, I want to learn how to catch lingcod. Can you run one of those? And eventually we'll add a shellfish one as well, where we focus on doing shrimping and crabbing. So, but for sure, we will definitely be running the halibut school and the salmon school. And basically, you come into the classroom, we teach you how to do all the things, set everything up, the different techniques for where to go and how to make decisions about where to maximize your line time out on the water in person. You get to touch all the gear. We bring everything and show you how we hook everything up. But one of the other benefits is the room usually has some really cool additional ideas or insights or suggestions or questions, and everybody ends up learning from each other. So it's a cool way to hang out with the members inside of our virtual community. We do virtual seminars every single month inside of our Inner Circle Anglers Unlimited Gold community. And it's fun to get together in person, learn about a specific fishery, as well as meet people that you've been talking to online for that period of time. So if that's something you are interested in, again, email us at support@anglersunlimited.co, catch more fish in the subject line, and we will send you the link to check it out and get your free ticket for next year for our in-person event. So with that, I'm going to dive right in, and I'm going to start out with a little underwater footage for you. So we'll just go right into that. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it, and I'm going to narrate this as we go. So there you go. GoPro is in there. Pot is being deployed for the very first time. And what's cool is you can see the color changes. So as we're going deeper, look how brighter the green gets. And we actually soaked this pot in about 60 feet deep. I did not add an underwater light at all. And you can see the visibility was just fine, but it definitely gets super deep. And then once you get to that muddy bottom, you see that big cloud. This pot is actually what we would call a fast fish. And you know that because when you look, oh, and the rope falls on top of it. So 2 minutes and 56 seconds later, this is the coolest part, guys. The first crab comes in right here. You can see Him messing around, opening that door. And fast fish is called fast fish because there's no barrier on the floor of the crab pot. It's literally a door and it's just flat. So you know how some of the crab pots have ramps and supposedly those ramps will keep the crab in better. Fast fish is the idea behind it is that you soak it for less time and they can get in faster. You can also see a little sand dab guy pops up here in the corner. That was what was really cool. So I fast forwarded the footage and basically chopped out some of the redundancy parts. But you see, there's quite a bit of fish that come in here and the dust cloud. So there's a lot of cloudy water here, but there's some fish that pop in. You're going to see some shrimp show up. But this pot was only soaked for 1 hour. And look at all of this activity. You can see the bait container isn't even full. I think we had like, I don't know, half a little container of chicken. We knew we were going to soak this one for a very short period of time. So we thought, hey, what the heck? Let's just drop it, film it, and see what happens. So this is super interesting. So you see all of this activity. I'm going to pause this really quick. You see all of this activity inside of the pot. And I watched the whole footage from start to finish. I thought it was super interesting. The sound the crab make. You can also, in one of the pieces of the footage up here in the corner where the camera is, the crab was like reaching through and couldn't get in. So they're hanging out on the outside, on the inside of your pot. There were shrimp that came through, tons of little fish coming through and mowing down on stuff as well. But you can see the mesh on side of the bait container is pretty small. And it was pretty fun to watch them actually get little pieces of chicken skin and pull it out and eat it. It's very impressive what these guys can do. They just worked that thing the whole time. I really like these pots. This is a McKay pot, and they have those bright yellow bait containers. We did a seminar inside of one of our communities about their pots specifically. And they actually changed the color of that bait container based on a test they did with some commercial guys. And they found that the pots that had that colored bait container did attract more crab. Now, this is not a scientifically researched study. It was just something they noticed. So they started manufacturing them that way. We love these pots. We have a few different versions of their McKay pots. So McKay Shrimp and Crab Gear, if you are interested in finding their pots, you can also get them at LFS. You can also get them at ESI in Anacortes and Skyline. So yeah, or directly at McKay Shrimp and Crab. And those guys are located in Brennan, Washington. We use all their gear. We love their stuff. So with that, let's watch what happens when this pot gets pulled, which I found super interesting. So the pot's starting to get pulled. The crab go crazy. And let me back that up because I think it's important. They're doing their thing. They're just in there, mowing down, whatever. And then you can see this rope in the corner is going to disappear. There it goes. So we're starting to pull the pot. And all of a sudden, boom, everyone goes nuts. The crab are like, WTF, trying to get their way out. And I think what was really interesting was seeing how much like drag was on the pot. You can't really tell because that crab's in the way of the camera, but see how much of the base. And then as soon as it kind of raised up a little bit, lots of drag. That is quite a bit of drag. And I do recall this day it being a little bit rippy. And you know how sometimes when you're pulling your pots, your line isn't perfectly vertical as you start. You adjust the boat until you get it perfectly vertical. But this was a good reinforcement to make sure your line is as vertical as possible when you're pulling that pot up, because that drag did affect the doors. I would definitely wager to say some of the crab were able to get out of that fast fish. But once it's off the bottom, they kind of just hang out and just chill. And you can see most of these guys were smaller and females. So we did actually reset this pot in a different location. We had 4 pots out that day. The other 3 were loaded with nice big size keeper males. This one we just moved to a different spot and it was fine. But yeah, so pretty interesting how fast the crab actually are hopping right into your pot when you drop your pots. So I think this is it's a cool way. Like if you use different types of and styles of crab pots, it'd be pretty fun to see the different way each of them fish. And so that's probably something we'll want to do next is test out a few different other versions of crab pots and see if we see much of a difference from how fast they can get in to how easily they can get out, how well they stay in and just mow down on the food. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So with that, I'm going to show you a couple other cool things about filming. So if you're interested in trying to film your crab pot, I bought a GoPro Hero 5. Now, I think the new one now is either a 13 or a 14. They're a few $100. But I had this weird feeling like, all right, I love my GoPro. I have a 7 and I've had it for years, this guy right here. And I just couldn't bring myself to send it into the water and hope for the best. I was like, I love this little camera. I've had the Hero Black for, I don't know, whenever it came out, I got the 7 and I freaking love it. We use it for all of our fishing footage and I just couldn't get my heart to send it down into the water. So I was like, well, what if I try to find an older model that I can send into the water? And if I lose $100, oh well. So I thought I would let you guys know that's something you can do. And the way I found a used quality GoPro was on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm going to just share my screen and show you exactly the process. So you can do this too if it's something that you would like to see what's going on inside of your pots. So if you just go to Facebook Marketplace, you go to your regular channel, go to Marketplace, and then type in what you're looking for. So if I type GoPro, all the listings will pull up that are close to where I live, which is in Anacortes, and then you can filter through. So I was specifically looking for a camera that was, I don't know, a 5 or a 7, and I wanted one with a waterproof case. So Facebook Marketplace is a super good way. You just go on here, you'll search GoPro, and then you find some GoPros that are within your area, and you just click on the one that you want, and you can email them and either negotiate the price or ask questions about the product. And then I always recommend meeting in a public place when you buy something used like this. So like this guy right here, let's say I was like, oh, the Hero 13, I want a brand new one. I'll always scroll down, check the person, and generally they'll have a rating if they have, so they have 2 active listings. It's not a old account. You always want to make sure it's not like somebody who had just started a Facebook account 3 days ago. That's a good indication of a scam. And generally they're going to have ratings if they've sold on Facebook Marketplace before. So let's check this person. So like this guy, non-real. So if they had that many stars, I would definitely be looking. So as an example, this person is probably not somebody I would buy from or even negotiate with or try to reach out to. But there's a lot of great sellers on here that, you'll see a 5-star rating. I'm not totally afraid if it's not somebody who's ever been rated before. This person, in this case, though, they have 16 listings and no ratings, which is a little concerning to me. Generally, if there's somebody who does list on Facebook Marketplace, you will see their ratings as well. So that's something to keep in mind when you are shopping. And what I was specifically interested in was a GoPro older model that was $100 or less. So if it did get completely destroyed when I sent it in the water, I wouldn't be super sad. And this is your key, an underwater case. So you can buy knockoff underwater cases on Amazon for GoPro, or you can be picky like I was and make sure you get an actual GoPro branded underwater case. So I did a lot of research, and some of the knockoff ones it was mixed reviews. Some guys said it was fine, and a lot of them said, it didn't protect my camera past like 30 some feet. So the cameras are rated to go underwater on their own, but not very deep. So the case is going to protect it if you're going to be going up to 90 to 100 feet, which is what I intend to be doing with our filming. So definitely getting one of these is great. They fit nice and snug inside of here. If you do get a brand new GoPro, these are easier to come by. If you get a older model like a 5 or a 7, you got to look for one of these used as well, because the actual GoPro business does no longer make these guys. So the other thing is these are really easy to use. You just slip them inside. And the way I secured it to the crab pot, so it's nice and secure, is I took it into the crab pot. So I'm going to just share my screen one more time so you can see. So you can see, I can't see the whole pot. This is one of those octagon shaped pots. So you've got the flat side where the fast fish door is, and then a little bit of an angle before the flat side of the other one. And I just picked one of the corners and zip tied. So if I was looking at this one right here, this corner, I basically zip tied the camera into that corner and had it face a little bit down. So once it was in the case, I just zip tied not only this bottom piece, I zip tied above this top area. So it secured it, and then below right here. So it was nice and snug. It felt really good and secure, but made sure the zip tie was not covering the lens. So one other thing that you're going to note is you're going to want to buy a filter. When you send a camera into the water, the first color that's going to disappear is red. So if you add this magenta filter, which just pops right on top on the outside of the camera, you just add that little red filter. It's, even though the footage looks super green when we're in the water that deep, like 60 feet, it would be worse without this red lens. So that's one thing that you can do to improve the quality of your footage and just the visibility of it all. And it's something to note when you're choosing colors for fishing. Red disappears first. So remember that. But filters, you can find them on Amazon that fit onto the GoPro. You want to make sure it's the right GoPro. So if you have a 13, if you have a 12, if you have a 10, if you have a 5, make sure you get the right filter pack based on it. I just got the it's called Soon Sun brand, and I'll make sure to link it in the show notes. It was like $14 for 3 different filters, and it works great. So one other thing we tried to do, actually a different day when we went out, is film salmon fishing. And I've seen guys that have really cool footage of, you can see just their lure right behind the downrigger ball, and you'll see salmon literally follow it and not strike it. So we want to capture some of those things and see what's actually happening with our gear underwater. Unfortunately, I only did it once and I didn't have the angle correct. So if you have anybody out there who is experienced with underwater filming on a downrigger, please send them my way. I'll probably go out there and spend a day trying to figure it out, but it's going to take some messing around with figuring out how to get the angle just right so I can see the gear close enough to the camera and see a little bit of the periphery to see what fish are doing. But with that, you guys, it was a super fun thing to see how much is going on inside of our crab pot. It gives you some insights also as to what adjustments you can make. And like in this case, tons of females. So we know that we didn't want to reset there again, because you're not going to find a bunch of males with a bunch of females. It's generally one sex or the other. When you're crabbing, you might get like onesie twosies of the other sex, but you're not going to have the bulk of your pot. If I set my pots and I pull up a bunch of females, I'm going to move them to find those pockets of males that are isolated and on their own. So one other thing I want to point out is our summer crabbing season is coming to a close here in Washington. So at the end of August, it's time to wrap up crabbing season pretty much in most of the Puget Sound and turn in those catch record cards. So I want to make sure you guys know exactly how to do that. Just to be fully transparent, I forget every freaking year. Don't ask me why, but if you don't happen to see that one WDFW email that comes out that says, make sure you turn in your catch record cards, and you miss it because, you know, they send like tons of emails all the time and maybe you just didn't click on it that day, whatever. If you miss it, it's really hard to just remember. That's just the truth. So the deadline is end of September. And I'm going to pull up exactly how to do this. It's super easy. Let this podcast be your reminder right now. Fill out your summer catch record cards. So once you have, make sure you have your catch record card, and right at the top, you're going to see something called doc number. And that's what you're going to need. So I'm going to share my screen and show you exactly how to report your catch record card. Click on that link, and then reported online is where you want to get to. And I'm going to link this. I'll be honest, like if you don't search it perfectly, you won't find it. So I will make sure to link this in the show notes for you. Take this as your sign to report right now. Get it done. But we'll link this in the show notes. But you'll go to the recreational login. You'll log in. You have to have your actual catch record doc number. So once you have your license in your hand, or take a picture of it like I did, if you want to just leave it on the boat and not worry about that, your dock number will be very specific on your actual record card. So if you go to the front of your license, you're going to see your wild ID, and then you'll see a dock number below where your name and your address are. That is not the correct dock number to use. The correct dock number for what we're doing is on the actual crab catch record card. So it's going to say summer 2025 and then dock number, and then give you that specific number, but it will be different from the one on the front of your license. So just make sure you have the right one handy, because it's really annoying if you took a picture of the wrong page, which I'm not going to lie, I've definitely done that. Continue. And then it'll ask you, did you catch and keep crab between the dates referenced? And the answer is yes. And so then you'll go through the dates that you actually caught crab. So you'll select the marine area. I'll do my first two just so you guys can see what this looks like. And then I'll put how many crab I caught. And then you just fill this out through the entirety of your entire catch record card. Make sure that you have it nice and accurate. That way their data is as accurate as possible. And also you eliminate a fine when you go get your license next year. So once you're done, you'll scroll down to the bottom and hit finish. And then harvest report has been submitted and you're good to go. It's got a reference number for you, and they will load selected report information and you are done. So one other thing I want you to know, if you go to the WDFW website, and I have my email, but I want to show you where this stuff is. If you can't find the email and you want to reference this stuff, go to WDFW Newsroom, and you're going to see a list of all of the different reports or email. It's basically the same as the email broadcast that you get in your inbox. All of them will be listed on this page for you. And so this one is the catch record for crab, and it's actually written on the website, so you can read through that if you need to. But I wanted to note that if you are a Marine Area 7 person, and I know several of you guys that listen to this show or tune in with us on YouTube are in the Marine Area 7 area like us. So if that is the case, I want you to know that crabbing is actually not closed. So if you'll look at this guy right here, only 2 areas remain open for recreational crabbing after Labor Day: Marine Area 7 South and Marine Area 7 North. So you want to note, though, you cannot use your summer catch record crab when crabbing during this time, because, that would be too simple. So you need to actually use your winter catch record card, which you probably do not have because you could not print that at the time. So you need to go get it printed. You cannot print it online. I tried to see if that was a possibility at this point, and it's not. So go to a store wherever you have printed out your license or got your license before. Any of the local tackle shops will be able to print it for you, and just simply ask them, can you print me a winter crab catch record card? And they will print it out for you at no charge. So just so you can see, if you want to see the areas, you've got Area 7 North and Area 7 South all still remain open through September per that notice. And of course, we want to just double check the dates as always. So through September 29, because September 30th is probably the wrong day of the week. So you can only crab Thursday through Monday. So yeah, the Monday of the 29th. So all Thursday through Monday, you can see that crabbing remains to be open. And so you can have a lot of fun still. Just make sure you record it legally on the right catch record card. So with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we will catch you next week, same time, same place, on the Fishing for a Reason podcast. Thanks, everybody.